Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is now dropping truth bomb on the Indian foreign policy and geopolitics while he is currently in the United States. After calling out American hypocrisy over providing support to Pakistan with F-16 fighter jets, Jaishankar has hit out at the foreign media for its bias against India, speaking on how certain publications particularly reported on the abrogation of Article 370. Jaishankar has said how this internet cut in Kashmir has become more dangerous than human lives. In fact, he's also asked if what was happening in Kashmir earlier was not majoritarianism. These are the words of S. Jaishankar. Listen in.
What was a temporary provision of the Constitution was finally put to rest. This was supposed to be act of majoritarian. No, wait. This was supposed to be majoritarian. Now tell me, what was happening in Kashmir was not majoritarian. There was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you have reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say? I think the way facts are slanted, things are played up, what is right, what is wrong is confused. This is actually politics at work. There are these biases, there are these efforts really to determine, how, I put it, look, the more India goes its way, and the people who believe that they were the custodians and the shapers of India lose ground in India, the more actually some of this debate is going to come outside. Because they are not winning in India. So they will try and win outside India, or try and shape India from outside. So this is something which we need to be aware of. It is important to contest it. It is important because most of the Americans, they would not know sort of the nuances and the complexities of our world. So it's important, not to sit back, not to let other people define you.
All right, let me quickly cut across to our Foreign Affairs editor, Gita Mohan. Also joining us is Gaurav Savant. Gita, over to you on S. Jaishankar and what he said extensively, speaking on abrogation of Article 370 and all the flawed media reports that were presented internationally. While he speaks in the United States, points out to certain publications, asking if internet shutdown is more important than loss of life. Also asking if at all what's happening in Kashmir is not majoritarianism. These are hard-hitting statements that he's made. Tell us a little more on the context with which he raised this issue.
Well, the External Affairs Minister has been explaining to the world, not just this time around in DC, but also in the past, over the years when we've seen since the abrogation of certain provisions of Article 370 Nabila, there have been a lot of questions that have been raised, and External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has been putting those controversies to rest with the explanation of as to why India took the decision of abrogating a few provisions of the article. And that's what he's reiterating over here. But what makes this news today? One, it is not on Indian soil. He is in DC, engaging Washington DC, engaging the US administration, and yet answering the questions that many in America are asking. The reason why the catalyst for this entire conversation is the recent articles that we've seen in New York Times, Washington Post with regards to the situation within India, questioning India's democracy and democratic systems when there has been curtailment of certain freedoms, particularly the ones that you mentioned, including an internet ban in the valley for a certain period of time. But the External Affairs Minister trying to explain, not justifying, but explain why it was done, how it was done, and why it was important that India take certain actions. The security concerns, or for that matter, India's own democratic structure or the constitution are paramount, and in that, India also going ahead and explaining that nothing was ultra-virus of the constitution or in the realm of illegality. So he has been batting for the decisions made by Government of India, which is what he's doing here in DC as well. This even as he's questioned, he's taken on the administration of the United States of America on decisions that US has taken on certain aspects, including the F-16 maintenance package with Pakistan.
All right, Geeta, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to our managing editor, Gaurav Savant, as well. Gaurav, a quick word from you. When S. Jaishankar refers to what's happening in Kashmir as majoritarianism, what is he really indicating?
He's basically calling out the Western hypocrisy, the Western double standards, and especially the Western media. And he's telling them not to look at India through colored glasses in no uncertain terms. This is the External Affairs Minister who's saying that the West will no longer tell India how to behave or what to do, because India is a strong country and we believe in what is right and we will do it our way, the Indian way. And India doesn't want any lectures and these double standards that the West follows. Look within are some of the indications that come from him. Now, when it comes to abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, it was a temporary, article. It was done away with. Due process of law was followed. Since that has already happened, India wants no pontification from the West on what's happening. An internet ban, really, I mean, that was such a temporary thing. Look at the situation today. It was more important saving lives at that point of time, because there are several vested interests, not just in India, but also overseas, who'd rather see loss of life over loss of internet for some time. So he's calling out that hypocrisy. On US soil, he's actually calling out US hypocrisy on providing F-16 spares and upgrades for a state sponsor of terror, Pakistan, because he's telling the United States, you're fooling no one. When F-16s were given to Pakistan, it was a different scenario. Those F-16s were never used to combat terror. Pakistan remains a state sponsor of terror, which incidentally has killed a large number of American soldiers in Afghanistan. That's Pakistan's state-sponsored terror, the Haqqani network. Those F-16s, as that Operation Swift Retort immediately after Balakot airstrikes of Indian Air Force showed, those F-16s were used against India. India is a strategic partner of the United States of America, and yet the US arms Pakistan with those F-16 upgrade package worth $450 million. It's not to combat terror, and he's telling the Americans, you're fooling no one.
All right. Thank you very much, Gaurav and Geeta, for joining us on that. India Today, to stay on the story, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar calling out the foreign media on its bias.